How you doing, guys? And this is Soul. I'm your host with Cruising on Empty. This is our second take, our third take, I should say. Sorry, I've been having some audio issues. So hopefully, guys, you can hear me, and we can move right along with this live stream. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video. So this video basically is on the Tahoe and on the H1 Hummer. So basically well, actually, I'm going to really more cover the second gen than the other generations. But what I'm saying will it will also pertain to the other generation Tahoe. Some of what I'm saying as well. Okay, so let's get into it. So the second generation Tahoe, it came with the LS motor. The LS motor was a motor that basically, this is the second generation. Now the LS motor, which is here, came in many different variations. You had the 4.8, the 5.3. You also had, I believe it was a 6.0. And I think it went up to, I think, 7.0, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check that. But anyway, these are the motors it came with. My disappointment with, these trucks are GMC made the Chevy Tahoe, GMC Yukon, Cadillac Escalade. My problem is with these three trucks, they're like clones. And I know a lot of people are going to say to me, well, Chris, that's not true because the Cadillac Escalade is unique. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. Okay. They're clones. The outside of these trucks, they look different. Yes. But on the inside, they're pretty much the same. You can't tear them apart. And I'll prove it to you. I will show you the interior of one of these trucks. So the interior on the top, the interior on the bottom. You don't know which truck it goes to. Next slide. You don't know if this is a Cadillac. You don't know if any one of these is a Cadillac. So my point is, what I'm trying to say to you guys is, you don't know the interior. The Tahoes, they're going from like $40,000, $50,000, somewhere around there. And then your Cadillac Escalade, you're spending anywhere between $80,000 to $100,000 for a Cadillac Escalade. But here's the kicker. You're spending almost $100,000 or $100,000 for this truck. That's almost exactly the same on the inside as like a $40,000 or $50,000 truck. That's like half the price. So my thing is that, why spend the money for a Cadillac Escalade? And I know you're probably saying, oh, well, Chris, I want to spend the money for it because I want a smoother ride. I want the comfort. I want this. I want that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Here's what you don't know. You can buy a Yukon or a Chevy Tahoe, and they'll both come with the suspension system for a Cadillac Escalade. I actually have a Tahoe. Okay. And the dealership printed me out a, an options list. Okay. On that options list, it lists a suspension that is from a Cadillac Escalade. Now, yes, the suspension is the same as like a base model Cadillac Escalade, which will probably be like $80,000. But you're talking about a $40,000 truck as opposed to like an $80,000 or $90,000 truck. It doesn't make any sense to me. When the seats are the same, steering wheels are the same. Now, the clusters are pretty much the same. And I know certain years they tried to switch it up, but pretty much they're the same. Because you can go take like a 04, 03, 05, 06 Tahoe, and then take the cluster out of a Cadillac Escalade and then put it in the Tahoe. It's going to work. The wiring, everything is the same. Okay? So what I'm saying is that it kind of sucks that you spend all this money for a Cadillac Escalade. Meanwhile, you could have bought a Tahoe or a Yukon and then fully loaded it out for far less money than you would pay for a Cadillac Escalade. I'm talking about you're looking about like maybe 20,000, maybe $30,000 less, okay, than what you would pay for a Cadillac Escalade. All right, less. So I still give you the question: why would you spend all that money for a Cadillac Escalade? If you say, okay, I don't want a Tahoe, okay, go with the Yukon. It's still cheaper. You're still spending about $10,000 to $20,000 less if you went with the Yukon as opposed to the Cadillac Escalade. I mean, think about what you can do with $10,000 or $20,000. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is like you got to really think about it. And I say shame on GMC because why do that? For example, I'll give you an example. BMW owns Rolls-Royce, right? You go take not even one of the high-end Rolls-Royces, but like one of their lower-end Rolls-Royces and then a 7 Series BMW, and you put them together, and you look at the interior of both. You will not even, they don't even look the same, the interiors. Nowhere close, okay? Nowhere close, okay? The interior on a 7 Series and the interior on a Rolls-Royce, completely different. But they own Rolls-Royce. Now, when you got your Bentleys, Bentley is owned by Volkswagen, okay? Now, Volkswagen, they own, yes, Bentley, they own Lamborghini, they own Audi, okay? But you go take your Audi A8, okay? The Audi A8 compared to a Bentley, right? One of the Bentley cars. So then you have to be a high-end model Bentley car, and you put them together. The interiors are different. So what I'm saying is that you buy these cars, and you know that your car is unique, and it's not the same like all the other cars that they make in their lineup range. You see what I'm saying? And to me personally, I feel like I'm being robbed because I'm spending over $100,000 in change for a car that is pretty much the same as a car that's like $40,000 or $50,000. Like, what gives? Really, what gives? You know? So you kind of, I personally would feel kind of cheated. You know, personally feel kind of cheated. How you doing, Rose? I see Rose is in the chat. What's going on, Rose? So I personally would feel cheated. Okay. Another thing I don't like about what GMC does is their dashboards. If you see these pictures here, now this is the same as second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and I believe fifth generation. The dashboards are pretty much the same. They crack up like crazy. Why do they do that? Their dashboards are like paper mache. As soon as you leave that truck in the sun, for any studied amount of time, for any amount of years. So if you leave it in the sun, so you own that truck and you've had it for about 4 years, maybe 6 years, and it's experienced the sun the whole time, that's what your dashboard's going to look like, paper mache. And to me, I don't feel like you should spend that kind of money on these kind of vehicles for your dashboard to look like that in the next 4 years or the next 6 years. And to me, it's just shitty, man. Where's the quality? You know, people always say you should buy American. Okay, you buy American. But why buy American when the American companies are going to give me vehicles like this? You know, we as people, we work hard for our money. So when we work hard for our money, we want to go buy a nice vehicle. So we buy a Tahoe or a Yukon or Cadillac Escalade, and then it's not even good quality. It's shit. So why continue buying American vehicles? Why? If this is what they're going to give us. You understand what I'm saying? How you doing, Esther? I see she's in the chat too as well. So why buy American vehicles if this is what they're going to give you? So why not go buy a Toyota or a Honda or BMW or a Mercedes? Buy foreign. Because it just seems to me when you buy the foreign cars, you get a better quality as opposed to buying an American and then having your dashboard look like paper mache after 4 years or after 6 years, after spending all the money you already spent. It just makes no sense to me personally. Now, the next vehicle that I am disappointed with Chevy about is the H1 Hummer. Now, the H1 Hummer ran from 92 to 2006, and GMC bought the Hummer H1 from AM General. Okay. And while they had it, they didn't really do much to it. And the truck suffered. And the sales for the truck were really bad because I think anybody who's in sales, okay, would look at these sales numbers and say, yo, these sales numbers are fucking shit, man. They're shit. Why would you sell a vehicle for those many years, about 10 years or more, and you wouldn't do anything to improve your sales? I mean, if you were selling appliances, if you were selling clothing or shoes, you got a certain quota, right? And every year, the head of sales will say, you know what? Let's try to sell 1,000 units or 1,000 shoes or whatever the case may be, right? And then the sales team's job is to sell those 1,000 units or more. That's your job on your sales team as a salesperson, right? And if for some reason your sales pitch or your sales strategy is not working, you go back to the drawing board and you see what you can do to improve maybe the product or maybe your sales strategy to sell more. But if you look at these numbers in 92, they sold only 316 trucks. In 92 and 93, they sold 612. 94, they sold 718. It's bad. How can you even stay in business with those kind of numbers? When Ferrari, a car that not everybody buys, you got like a handful of people, maybe, if that buy Ferraris. And their numbers were in the 5-digit numbers. Whereas the Hummers, they were in 3-digit numbers. How do you stay alive? How do you even make a profit? You know, after GMC bought that company for so many millions of dollars, they made no money on it. So you had it from 92 to 2006 and you made no money? That to me is just asinine. So then you make no money on it, but you still give your head of marketing and sales and design, they get their bonuses every year. Now, what regular person works a 9-to-5 job and is not productive in their job, but still gets bonuses every year? I don't really know of many jobs you're going to get bonuses every single year. I don't. Especially with these kind of sales numbers, it's terrible. When they first came out, they were like $40,000. And then in 2006, the last year, they were going to like about $138,000, these trucks, right? But my thing is, common sense would say, hey, listen, our sales numbers in 92 and 93, 94, they're not good. What do we need to do, team, to bring these numbers up? Do we need to redesign the truck? Do we need to change it around? What? They just didn't do anything. They just collected their money and just said, it's okay. Now, this picture is of a 2006 H1 Hummer. This is the last year of the truck. And on the last year, they redesigned the interior and they put another motor in because the motor they originally had was a 6.5 V8 motor. That motor was a shitty motor. They had camshaft problems. You had injector problems. You name a problem, that motor had it. Okay. And from 92 to say 2004, they did nothing. They just left the motor in there. All those years from 1992 to 2004, you just sat there and collected your bonuses and collected your money and you did nothing. So all those people that were in the Hummer division area for GMC, eventually when 2006 came around, they all lost their job because nobody gave a shit. You were collecting your money. You didn't give a shit. You didn't care. As long as you would get your money and fill in your pockets, you didn't care. Now, the truck is a good truck. But as you can see from this picture, there's no room. The average male is 5 feet 9 inches, right? Now, let's say you're 6 feet tall and you get into that driver's seat, and somebody behind you, say he's like 5'10". He's got no room. Look at the space in the back. There's no room whatsoever. Where are you going to put your legs? Where are you going to put them? You have nowhere to put your legs. You have nowhere to move at all. I see Esther says, do the Highlanders. Yeah, I'll do a video on that. But yeah, there's just nowhere to put your legs. You know, there's nowhere. And this is why I say they just didn't think it through, because they had enough time to actually improve and do better. Because if they were working for an actual sales company, like an appliance store or shoe store, clothing store, and their numbers were that terrible, you know what would happen? They would get their walking papers, their pink slip. Thank you, come again, but it's not working out. We're gonna have to let you go. Because when you have a sales team and you're selling, your performance is, you're judged on performance. And if you don't perform and you can't make those sales, then they're gonna say, "C'est la vie, peace." You know what I mean? Get out of here. But they kept the idiots, the dumbasses that were in sales and in marketing and in design, and they kept them. And then their genius idea was, let's put a jump seat in the middle. Where are you going to put your legs? There's absolutely no room in the middle. You have to put your legs in the console or on the where the shifter is for the driver to shift in the gear. Like, whose genius idea was that? That's just stupid. I mean, with all the money these guys make, that's why I just can't understand. With the amount of money they make, nobody could have came up with a solution. From 1992 to 2006, nobody could come up with a solution. I mean, me personally, looking at this situation and seeing that they only, let me see, in from all those years that they were in business, that they were running, they only sold 11,000 trucks. That's it. 11,000. Range Rover sales are higher than that. And to be honest with you, not everybody can afford a Range Rover. Yes, I had a Range Rover at one time, but not everybody can afford that. The maintenance and everything else is high. But something like this, it's an American vehicle and you only sold 11? Nah, bro. Nah, no. There's no hell that those people in GMC cared. And then after GMC claimed bankruptcy in 2009, okay, they went to the government and said, you know what? We need a bailout. Well, why do you need a bailout? You had a good product. You have good products, but you just chose not to go and improve on them. So my thing is that if you have everything to do better and to achieve the numbers you need to achieve, why not take advantage of that? Because before GMC claimed bankruptcy in 2009, okay, they overextended themselves, because not only did GMC buy the H1 Hummer, at the time they had Pontiac, they had Buick, they have the Chevy, of course, the Yukon, of course, the GMC Yukon. They had Saturn at the time, okay, and majority of these cars were like clones. They were the same as the other ones. I mean, you have the Camaro. The Camaro was basically pretty much the same as the Pontiac Firebird. So why did you need to make two of the same cars and then just say, oh, we're going to redesign the shape on the outside? But it's the same fucking car. Why would you make the same car twice or three times or four times and just change the outside? It's the same car. It makes no sense. Instead of GMC overextending themselves, they should have just stayed GMC. And then if they wanted to have Cadillac, those two brands, you have your regular brand and then you have your luxury brand. Therefore, you spend all your money on those two brands, do what you need to do, make your money. instead of overextending yourself, making all these other companies under GMC and then making them as clones. And then everybody wants to know, well, why GMC had filed bankruptcy. Yeah, I know why. They were trying to make it seem like they got it like that when they really didn't have it like that. That's why. And then they went and bought Hummer to do what? To show everybody that they got money like that when they didn't really have money like that. Because if they really had money like that and they were really doing what they were supposed to be doing, this truck wouldn't have failed. It was a good truck. There was nothing wrong with this truck. It needed to be improved. Yes, I would have stretched out the body a little bit, redesigned the truck a little bit to make it more civilian friendly. But I mean, I'm not a designer. I'm not an engineer where I go in there and engineer these things and design these things. But I got enough common sense to know that the public, they're going to want a vehicle that can hold their family. If a woman got in this truck and she had kids, where's she going to put the kids? You got this big ass truck and it's got no room. It's got the amount of room of a Chevy Cavalier 2-door. And it's sad that something that big has got that much room in there. The ride quality, and I've driven this truck many years ago, and the truck is large, yes, but the ride quality in the truck is like, I would compare it to a basic Chevy Blazer or a basic Chevy Tahoe. So with that being said, what I'm saying is the suspension in it is fine, but not great. Not great. Especially the amount of money they're charging for the truck, especially in 2006. It's a hell of a lot of money for a truck that doesn't even ride that nice. Okay? Doesn't ride that nice, and it's very noisy on the inside. Yes, it's a diesel motor, but they could have made it quieter on the inside with a lot of noise canceling matting and stuff like that. So it's not so noise, because a lot of the older ones, the early H1 Hummers, just to talk to somebody in the vehicle, you're screaming at the person just so they can hear you over the motor, because the motor is pretty much inside the cab of the truck. So the person is sitting next to you, but it's like they're far away from you. You stretch your arm out, you can't even touch the person. And then you got that noise. So talking to somebody, you got to pretty much more or less like raise your voice or scream at the person just so they can hear you. So there's a lot of stuff they could have done to improve on this truck. Not to mention the CTIS system it's a good system, but it had a lot of flaws to it. And they could have done what they needed to do to improve the flaws on the CTIS system. CTIS system is a central inflation system. Basically what it does, there's buttons on the inside of the truck with gauges, and you hit the button and it'll deflate the front tires to a certain PSI or inflate the tires, and it'll do the same thing on the rear, and the gauge will tell you at what PSI it is. So it's a good feature, so you never have to go and get your tires filled up. You'll always know what air pressure your tires are at, and when you need air, you just hit the button, and there's a built-in compressor underneath the hood that will trigger the pump, and it'll just blow up the tires or deflate the tires. So it's a good system. Like I said, it's a good truck. It's just that it was poorly managed by GMC. I wouldn't say engineered, but managed, because they could have made our truck so much more. Then as far as the Tahoes go and the Yukons and Escalade, I think it's a shit show. I really do. I mean, yes, I own one, but it's going to be the last truck I ever own. I'm not interested in getting another one. If I do get another truck, I guess I'd probably get one of these, an H1, or I'll probably get a Toyota. Toyotas are really reliable, like a Land Cruiser, really good, and they're really good off-road. But I think I bought it, the Tahoe. It's a good truck. It's okay, but I'm disappointed in it, just to see what Chevy has done. The motor's fantastic. Like I said, it's an LS motor, and that motor is involved in a lot of swaps. People take that motor and put them in a lot of different other vehicles, So it's a good motor for that. It's a very strong motor. It's a very reliable motor. I mean, you just got to take care of them, and that motor will like run forever. The LS motor on that Chevy, but everything else, poor quality. The amount of plastic they put in the Tahoes and the Yukons, even in the Escalades, considering they spend so much money, and that's another thing which annoys me, which pisses me off. You're spending almost $100,000 or $100,000 for an Escalade, but the chrome that's on those trucks is plastic with chrome tape over it. The wood, the wood they got in the truck is plastic. Okay, so you're spending all that money for a truck like that, for it to just to have plastic with chrome tape or plastic wood. Bro, listen, if I bought something like that, I would feel like I'm ripped off. I got ripped off, or somebody took advantage of me, because I don't see where my money's going. I don't. I really don't. I just don't see it. You know, I mean, I have a S500 Mercedes. I get in that car, the chrome for the grill, that's real chrome right there, bro. The wood, that's real wood. Same thing in my 7 Series. Now, I did a video in the 7 Series. I bought that car. I guess the car was like an impulse buy, if you want to call it. But that's another whole nother topic. But anyway, the wood in it is real wood. The leather is real wood real wood in the Mercedes, real wood in the BMW, real leather in the BMW, real leather in the Mercedes. You feel that leather in those cars, and then feel the leather in the Tahoe, Yukon, or Escalade. You notice a difference like night and day. Night and day. So with those two cars, yes, you get what you pay for. Like I said, when I did the BMW video, like I said, I think it was the second generation, or was it the third generation, the E38 7 Series. Those are better than the newer ones. Any BMW from like 2002 is garbage, like I said in that video. But anyway, you can go catch that video. But yeah, it's just bad. And the banner you see on the bottom there, that one is for the Hummer video. You can just highlight that, and you can go to the Hummer video where I go more in depth. And the other one is for the Tahoe video. I go more in depth into them. So if you wanted more information on what I'm talking about as far as the Hummer and the Tahoe, I go more in depth in these videos. You can always go and click on those links, and then you'll see them. But so that's my 2 cents for it. That's my food for thought. Like I said, you guys are free to make your own decision on whatever it is that you want to buy and what to spend your money on. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on what I think, based on my number of years of owning my 3 body shops and in the auto body field. So you can take my advice or not, solely up to you guys. But I thank you guys for staying with me on this video. I thank you guys for watching this video. And hold on a minute. Do you work on Chevys? I hope you do, or that you pay for these videos. Well, I work on my own videos, and like I said previously in the video, Mildred, I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge on the vehicles. I've actually been around cars, I would say, since I was 13 years old. Okay, so my knowledge is vast on the cars. I have a lot of experience in cars. Like I said, I used to have my own body shop. I used to own 3 bodies, 2 in Connecticut and 1 here in Florida. So yeah, my knowledge is pretty extensive on cars. But as far as working on them, no, I don't really do working on them. I mean, maybe in the future I might have something in the works where I have a shop and have, people come in. But like I said, that's in the future. I'm thinking ahead right now. But no, I don't work on vehicles anymore. I used to do it many, many, many years ago, and it just turned out to be a pain in my ass. So I don't work on them anymore. Now, as far as the body shop is concerned, yes, I used to own a body shop. I closed them down. It just got a really tedious, and I think the problem with the body shops was you got a lot of people coming in to do body work on a lot of these old cars. You had cars from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And the problem with doing body work on those cars, it's expensive. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a rich man's hobby. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not even going to lie. It's a rich man's hobby. And unfortunately, I got a lot of people who would come into my body shop and they have these cars from like the 80s or 70s, but then you want to pay $8,000 to get the whole car redone. Buddy, you got pocket change, okay? I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody, but you got pocket change. You're not going to redo or restore an old car from the 70s with $8,000, bud. It ain't going to happen. No way in this world will it happen, okay? You looking realistically, when you restore cars like this, which I would tell all my customers when they used to come to the body shop, whenever you restore a car like that from the 70s or 80s, you got to at least start at $20,000, at least. And the reason why you start at $20,000, because these old cars, a lot of times, they're like Swiss cheese, okay? The floor is rotten out. The quarter panels are rotten out. The trunk floor is rotten out. The fenders are rotten out. I mean, you name it, it's rotten out. So when you restore a car like this, it's usually going to take maybe a year, maybe 4 years to restore this car because it's a lot of work, okay? With cutting out materials, with welding in materials, it's a lot of work. And unfortunately, a lot of the people coming into the shop who wanted this work done didn't really have that kind of concept. They wanted it done, but the way they wanted it done was in an unsafe way. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a customer once when I had these shops open, and he had an old, I think it was like an old Oldsmobile Cutlass or Buick or something like that. I think it was from the 80s or 70s, one of those old big cars, right? And the floor needed to be cut out because it was like Swiss cheese, okay? And I gave him a price on what it was going to cost to redo the whole car. I mean, the car was a wreck. I mean, you name it, this car needed it, okay? It needed it. So the guy comes to the shop and he only had $8,000 to spend to redo the car. $8,000, forget about that. You're not being realistic with $8,000. It's not happening. So anyway, he wanted me to cut the floor out and put a new floor in there, but glue the floor in. What? You can't do that. That is so dangerous. I mean, I can't even express it in words how dangerous that is. And that was his solution. Glue the floor in. You can't glue the floor in because you got to put the seats in there, and the floor has to be structurally sound to support all the weight that's going to be in the car. Gluing it in, no, you can't do that. If that floor gives way and it falls while that person is driving on the road, you got a lawsuit because that car is going to kill them. So I used to tell customers, like, you don't have the concept or the knowledge on what it really takes to actually get something like this done. You know, it's very labor intensive, and you have to really do it by the book. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of closed the shop down, because it just got me to the point where I was just annoyed about it. The shops in Connecticut, I sold them to a friend of mine in Connecticut, and the one down here in Florida, I just closed it. It got to the point where it just got to be a headache because people had really unrealistic expectations. You know, whenever you restore an old car, you're talking about money. This is money. That's a rich man's hobby. Because when you're starting at $20,000 to redo something like that, you can't come with $8,000. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. You're talking about a complete paint job, floor, door jambs, under the hood, just the paint jobs alone. You're talking about a few thousand. Well, the paint jobs alone will be like $8,000. Just the paint jobs that they want on these cars. Okay, and that's not including just the cutting out and welding. Then you got the body work to do. I mean, listen, I got stories for days on customers I used to come into the shop. So I get what you're saying, Mildred, but no, I'm I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm done. I give advice, and that's it. I don't want to do any more business with that at all. I'm done. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. But yeah, so that's my advice, and I thank you guys for spending your time with me, and I will see you guys in the next video.